right, folks, back here on the Bossman Show, special guest. We got a special guest out of Nashville, by way of Memphis, all over the place. She was talking off air about our vernaculars from our different cities. It's Mayree Edwards here, the visionary, single woman Jones. She got a lot going on. We'll talk about all of that here on the Bossman Show tonight. Hey, how you doing? Good to talk to you on the show finally. What's up?
I'm doing well. Thank you for having me.
No doubt. I was going to ask you about your background first and foremost, to know who you are, man. So tell us about how you got started in business. What was your trigger point to get into business and work for yourself and make money on your own, having your own different kind of hustle, jack of all trades? Tell us all about your start.
Okay. Well, I like to call myself the Jill of many skills. I actually meant to wear that shirt today, but I couldn't find it. So I wore another single woman Jones shirt instead. But I actually just started as a side hustle, to be honest. In college, I used to write resumes, write other people's papers. Don't tell nobody about my plagiarism. But I used to write other people's papers, just all types of different like writing things for others so that I could just get a little extra money. And the couple years before what we now call as the pandemic or quarantine, I really kind of like got a little bit more notoriety. People started kind of recommending me through word of mouth. And then from there, I had a day job, of course, but was just doing that on the side. And then when the pandemic hit, it kind of pivoted from me doing events and resumes to helping people with their businesses, as well as just kind of branching off into like really doing it on my own because I had essentially gotten laid off.
Yeah, like it's mighty strange, but not strange, how the pandemic made a lot of people entrepreneurs full time now because you thought you had a job, and then all of a sudden on my birthday, March 11th of 2020, when I was Atlanta Hawks game, we got word that everything was canceled. So forever, my birthday was the day that the quarantine and the pandemic hit because that was my birthday week, March 11th. Now I will sit up here and tell y'all, no lie. On March 14th, I was in BB King's on downtown Nashville having a birthday party. I ain't gonna lie to y'all.
We didn't really know. We didn't know how serious it was.
But on Twitter, there was like, look at Nashville. I was one of the fools out there. I said, I'm celebrating my birthday. Yes, everyone shit shut down. I'm celebrating my birthday it was a rainy night, but I want to celebrate my birthday. So I did it. So who knew that was gonna change all our lives forever? You got consistently laid off and forced you into doing what you're doing on a high level now. But a lot of people now are entrepreneurs now with businesses, doing things online now, and never going back to that 9-to-5 life ever again. So for you, do you feel freer now that you're doing your own thing, not having to be shackled by a time clock and say, hey, these hours you are here, you mine?
Well, actually, I did pick up a day job recently, but for about a year and a half, I guess, a little bit more than that, I was working for myself, and I felt free because I could make my own schedule. I got to do a lot of the things that what I used to say, I'm living in the days that I prayed for, where I could get up, go for a walk, exercise, make my breakfast, just kind of take things at my own pace and then get into whatever the day, whatever I had set for the day. Now it's a little bit different because I do have a day job. Before the pandemic, I worked in real estate. So I got back into real estate, working on getting my license. So I work as a transaction coordinator just to be able to add that other thing under my belt, before the end of the year.
It's funny you say that. I'm like, I'm 3 credits away from getting a minor TSU in real estate. I actually want to stay around for each semester for get a minor in real estate. I'm literally 1 class away from having a minor.
Wow.
From Tennessee State, but I want to get on with my career in radio. I didn't want to stick around the semester. So, but
I understand that, but man, like real estate is so fascinating. I worked as the office manager for a huge company here, and I basically started their office in Nashville. And with that, I learned so much about real estate and just different neighborhoods, how things are done, the process of buying and selling. It's just all really fascinating to know like the inner workings of that. And then just differences in brokerages too. And there's so much you can do with investing and just, I don't know. It's all really interesting to me.
Do you feel a catch-22 though, with all the gentrification going on in Nashville? Because it's really affecting our people. You know what I'm saying? Especially in North and East Nashville, we getting
I still
forced out. You
in the
know,
hood. So this affects me too.
yeah.
I
So,
I still live in the hood. I live right in the heart of North Nashville. And it was why I say it was interesting is because being around, I was also the only person of color in the office for a very long time. So it's almost like you stick out like a sore thumb, but at the same time, you're invisible. So you're privy to conversations that people don't necessarily think you understand, or they don't care about having those conversations in front of you because they don't think you know what's going on. But you find out a lot about what people really think about the people living in these neighborhoods. Who is, like an evil developer coming in to push Black people out versus people who really do care about the communities they're affecting when they build these new tall and skinny homes, as we like to call them, or just like North Nashville and stuff like near where I stay. You have where I guess you feel a sense of pride because you have like Black-owned businesses like Slim Huskies, Willie B's, and things coming up on Buchanan. But then on these side streets and stuff, you still have like a house that's been here for 30 years, and then next to it it's a duplex or two tall and skinnies or something like that. It's strange because pretty soon, you'll be seeing that little house eventually is going to disappear.
Do Eminent Domain or getting
Right.
offer that's not really good, but it looks good on paper.
Exactly. And a lot of people don't know about Eminent Domain too. And that's something I learned about actually living in Memphis, just knowing people who were in real estate there, not knowing a whole lot about it, but I worked for a nonprofit organization. And that's where I first heard the term. And then I was like, oh, they can do that? You know what I mean? So yeah,
because that's how the Falcon State Stadium got built in Atlanta, Eminent Domain. So, and also they use taxes to do it too. Like
your property taxes. I had a family member, a cousin. She's in her 60s, and she had a house in South Nashville, and she would tell me about how her property taxes were going up and how they were trying to push them out the neighborhood. But I think she may have sold and got a pretty good deal, but that was just because she had someone trustworthy, I think. And a lot of times that's the thing too, like these people will send you these notices in the mail, we want to buy your home,
or they call you. It says scam likely on my phone when they call you.
Yeah, it's trying to get you out of your home. When my grandmother was still living, she had people send her stuff and call it all the time. And because these people are elderly, they're taking advantage, talking fast and over talking and convincing people to do things they would normally do. So I think if there's anything that burns me up the most about the whole gentrification thing is the preying on the elderly.
Yes, exactly. And you know what's crazy about it? I took my father to go appeal his taxes down to the little Second Avenue Howard building. I appealed my taxes. And then right down the street from me, they building up with some of them tall and skinnies and whatever they building. I mean, literally, like, really? I call them tornado targets. That's what I call them.
Tornado targets. I'm about to use that one. They do look like if you blow hard enough, they're gonna fall over.
Yes, the tornado targets. And speaking of North Nashville, the tornado happened last March the 2nd or 3rd. It was funny. The Hawks played the Grizzlies that night, and I drove to town to see my father, and I know what was going on. There was a tornado going on in Nashville. I'll come out 24 going up North Nashville way, woo, and I don't know what's going on. And I'm looking at my phone, tornado, what? I know it's raining like crazy and thundering.
Right.
But the Hawks for the Grizzlies that night in Atlanta, I drove up here, and I was like, wow. So I knew that was going, I didn't know that was going on either. So, but in Grove, North Nashville, I had people affected over on Arthur and, on DB Todd, and you see on the highway, still kind of dark over there.
We was messed up we was out of power for at least a week. So we would like come during the day and stay here, make sure the house was fine and, operate with the windows open. It was freezing. But then we would go in the evenings and stay with my aunt. But it was a mess. And I had a job then that was affected by the tornado and then the pandemic. So it was a lot. It affected a lot of small businesses like back to back. It was like a tornado and then the pandemic, and it was
Yes.
like, what the heck?
Then the Nashville, the bombing too. There was a bombing
We
in Nashville too. Like
had a
what
rough
the
go at it, okay?
what the hell's going on in Nashville? I was like, I told him, I said, Dad, you want to move to Atlanta? No, son, y'all too fast down there. You come down here, you enjoy yourself. Nah, I like Nashville. Okay, you don't get bombed, but okay. That's what I said.
Yeah, that was insane. That was crazy. One of my brother's friends, I think, lived in the area and was affected by it as well. Over here in North Nashville, we just didn't have phone. We didn't have Wi-Fi. We didn't have phone power. It was kind of rough for a few days, but yeah, Nashville has we've been through a lot here in the last
Yes.
12 months.
Now, I think with a lot of jobs being created, the resume writing piece is very important. I'll be honest with you. I ain't never had to use a resume because of what I do. Mm-hmm. Radio's kind of a little bit different than a regular job having a resume. So for our listeners out here listening, what are some tips that you can give them that you ain't gonna charge for? Because I know you charge to do that. For them to spruce up their resume. And I would give an offline, not expert tip. All previous jobs, put them in past tense. But I'll let the expert tell you the rest.
Seriously, if it's a past job, put it in that. I mean, I can't stress that more. Like, yes, if it is a past job, please put it in the past tense. So I actually do career development as a whole. So not only do I upgrade resumes, write resumes, but also will coach you for your interview, help you with negotiation, for your compensation packages, the whole gambit. And that I learned just being in corporate America so long. I've had a job since I was 14 years old. So I have learned a lot about navigating work culture, different types of people. And then as far as resumes go, to piggyback off what you said about the past tense, make sure you're also only including what's relevant. Like, we don't need to know your very first job you worked when you was 14. We just want to go back about 10 years. That's what most employers are usually looking for.
Now, do you say put your education in the year on there, or just put the job? Because I feel like sometimes the year is used against you almost.
Yes. So I had a client more recently who has 24 years of experience. And while I put 24 years of experience in their summary, I remove the dates on their education because it will date you, or employers will try to figure out how old you are. And then sometimes kind of inadvertently have a bias because you're older, which is technically discrimination. So age discrimination. So yes, I always remove the years unless it is somebody who recently, like in the last year or two, graduated, and this is a entry-level position and you're trying to kind of break into the field. Sometimes it helps. It just kind of depends on the scenario, but for most cases I leave it off.
Yeah, because like you said, they can kind of figure out, okay, you graduated in 2011, okay, you probably like 22, something like that. Okay, add some. Yeah, they gonna do the math on you. So yeah, mm-hmm. I've told people this, and with my non-expert, thoughts about it. Don't do that. You do that because, okay, I ain't gonna lie to you. Some folk names be.
I should have known this was gonna come up.
Some folk names, look, I ain't gonna lie. Some names I see that I guess I know what they are.
So that is the thing. I've been asked this before, like, what do I do about that? So as a person whose name has been butchered my entire life, you would not think that because my name is just Mayree, but as a person whose name has been butchered my whole life, I have been really careful about people and their names and what I do with them when it comes to a resume. But I know that people have the reaction that, like you just said, if it's what we like to call an ethnic name, we can tell that person's probably Black or Asian based on, the spelling or what have you. For us, the number of consonants, extra, periods, hyphens, exclamation points, apostrophes and such. But I usually, if it's something that I know will be difficult to pronounce, or it's super long, or that they're gonna think it's urban, that word they like to use. Yes. I use initials, or I use a short name. Yes. When you get there, you can tell people your preference. Like once you get the job, you say, I prefer to be called Wop Bop Beverly and Boo, but whatever. Just to get your foot in the door, do what you can in the way of, like, sometimes I hyphenate my name. My name is Mary Ashley. Sometimes I hyphenate my name as Mary Ashley, depending on the job I'm applying for.
No doubt. Like, I ain't gonna lie. When I see some names, I'm like, Lord. But I will still talk to you. But I'm gonna say, your mama was high at birth.
And that's the thing. You can't help what your name. Like, I was named after my grandmother. Yes. And I am the 7th grandchild. And only one of them before me out of the 7 is a boy. So there were 5 other opportunities to name somebody Mary, but I ended up being Mary. You know what I mean? I don't let people play with my name, but I recognize that it has a unique spelling. People will mispronounce it. So I don't have a problem with correcting people as long as, I do so politely, which I recommend if you're in that situation when interviewing or what have you. But yeah, use a short name, use a abbreviated name. I will say this. If somebody asks you, can they shorten your name? I typically say no.
Yeah, no.
Like, if someone tries to nickname you, I'm absolutely against that.
Yeah, like, I have people, what does JR stand for? Whatever you want to stand for. That's my answer. Yeah. Why are you being so smart? Just go with JR.
That's what I prefer to be called.
You don't need to know what that stands for.
Yeah.
If you got a half a brain, you can figure out probably it stands for. Like, what does it stand
for? Very rarely is it like Jerome Robertson. It's like so-and-so Junior.
You know what's funny? When somebody might say, Junior, who the hell is that? I don't know who that is. Right. Try again. I had to go speak to a school. We're here with Junior the Bossman. Junior the who the?
But the letters are capital.
Who in the blood? I sit in my seat. I was like, who that?
So I used to do that too. Like, people will call my name and they'll go Mayree, Mariah, and I'm like, and now wait a minute. And if they don't correct, I'm like, it's Mary. But like, somebody called me earlier. I was like, can I speak to Mayree? And I was like, this is Mary. And I'm like, oh, sorry. So I try to find, like, polite ways to correct people.
Mary, like the Virgin Mary, but spelled differently, shouties and shoutettes, Shoutettes. Yes, players and playettes. That's another one I use from Atlanta. Players and playettes. So yeah, like, so yeah, like so what they call your dad? You don't worry about that. You just call me what I told you to call me.
Yeah, right.
You had me tap into my rock mode, Jabroni. Yeah, calling me by the wrong name.
Like, wrong time.
Or I could Booker T sucker. What's like Booker T see?
Now, see, I did kind of watch wrestling a little bit. That's something I might know this much about.
Man, look, I watched that junk Mondays, Thursdays, Saturdays, and Sundays.
My grandmother liked wrestling, so I watched it on occasion.
And also, we had wrestling matches after church too, out in the front of the grass of church.
Your cousins, your church members.
Yeah, we had the grass stains on them suits, getting in trouble. Dry cleaners, everything. Yeah, they hated that. But look, I had to do the pedigree one time and give them DDT after church. I just want to do it. You watch the wrestling movies, you want to try them on somebody. So I try them on right. I didn't care. Like, like
now I had a cousin, a guy cousin, and so we used to try those wrestling moves on each other because we were around the same age. We were the only 2 like grandkids kind of around the same age. So we kind of grew up like brother and sister. But yeah, I remember the DDT and the people's elbow and all
rock bottom, the Stone Cold
rock bottom, yeah,
the figure 4 leg lock, the walls of Jericho, the ankle lock. I'm doing all this.
I forgot about all this.
The spinner Rooney, the super kick.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't try was jumping off the railing and try to knock. I didn't try those moves. Nah. I did what I could just stand and kick you or stun you or something. I was a mischievous child, okay? doing the altar call at church. They be coming to the altar. So me being the joker I am, I stung close to a dude in the middle of church that was 11 years old.
Not during the altar call though. You need to whip it.
What's funny was my dad thought it was funny. But he didn't do that to me. He thought it was funny.
I'm just imagining people standing there like holding hands. Like I know altar call in my church growing up was like, in the prayer. You just DDPing somebody in the middle, somebody trying to pray for they
What's funny is my homeboy waiting for the pen. Now I counted 1, 2,
3. See.
He got in trouble. I didn't. My dad didn't care. His dad was assistant pastor, but he waited for the pen.
So you was a bad influence. Is what you're saying.
And he owed me about 27 days.
That don't mean nothing.
I said, he's my elder. I got it from him. He's my elder.
That's like my friend earlier today. I was telling her, I was like, the more I work, I started to drink a little bit more. And she was like, yeah, I drink a lot more when I'm around you too. I was like, wait.
Wow.
He said, well, you blamed yourself first, so I figured I would just run with it. I'm
like, I was junior, no doubt.
You the elder. She like, see, her birthday's in May, mine is in November. I'm like, you the elder. I got it from you.
Yeah, February 12th, March 11th. He gave about 27 days. Only from him. This is the same joker. This joker broke my chair as a child. We were playing a little wrestling game. He broke my chair in my room.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to beat Hulk Hogan or somebody. The joker broke my chair. like, damn, bro. Broke my chair. My dad said my dad banned him from the house for a while. And he made his dad buy me another chair. He was all good at that. Your son broke my son, so he bought me another chair or else. We hear about this in church on Sunday. He bought me a chair fast. He don't hear about
this in church on Sunday.
Yeah, so my dad has a way to get stuff done, I must say.
Yeah. Well, I think that that is probably what I say rubbed off on me from my grandmother. And oddly enough, they call me Mayree Jr. Because she was a no-nonsense kind of woman who got things done. And I believe that is kind of what is that's the persona, that's the thing that kind of radiates from me when I'm out in the world doing business in whatever capacity I do.
And you know what? You do something else, LinkedIn. I use that for promotional purposes, but I know it's used to find jobs too. So tell us more about that, because I think a lot of people don't really know the value of LinkedIn and what it can do for your career as well.
I don't think people know that either. I mean, I say that all the time. I've had a LinkedIn since high school, college, maybe freshman year. But I know we started talking about it, I think, in maybe my senior year, because I was in this like career readiness kind of class or something, my senior year. And we did like ACT prep and then resume. So that's where I learned how to like write a resume in that class. And then every year I just kept it updated. No matter what, I would update it. And then whenever I got a LinkedIn, I got in the process of continuously keeping it updated. And what I learned was that you get some of your biggest opportunities from LinkedIn. And now that we're in like the social media era, where people are looking for your social presence. So you meet somebody and the first thing they ask you usually is like, you got an Instagram, you got a Facebook. And so when I meet people business, when I'm out networking, do you have a LinkedIn? So I was in perfect example of the value of LinkedIn. I was going into Sephora one day after working an event in the mall at a different store. A young man that I had met who had asked me for, just to lend him a helping hand for the day. I worked with him, and then I was going to look for like a Mother's Day gift. It was Mother's Day weekend. And I was like, oh, let me stop and pick up some concealer. So I went into Sephora, was looking for my Holy Grail concealer, and then I was like, I need face wash. So I went over to this counter or this wall display, and everything was like black and white, this brand I'd never seen before. So it caught my eye. So then the lady walks over and she's like, hey, can I help you with anything? So I'm thinking this is just, sales clerk. So I'm talking to her and telling her about my bad skin and all these different things. She's telling me about her skin. So then she's like, well, what do you do for a living? So I told her, I do a myriad of things. I upgrade resumes. I throw events. I'm a consultant. for operations for different small business owners. And so she said, "Oh, really? We're having a Juneteenth event and we need someone to throw our event. Would you be interested in that?" And I was like, "Sure." But me, I'm thinking she's just talking. Like, I don't know this lady from a can of paint. You know what I mean? Why she won't? I just told her I throw an event. She don't know me. She's like, "Well, do you have a LinkedIn?" I was like, "Sure do." So we exchanged LinkedIn's. Again, I'm thinking that she's just talking, just shooting shit with me. No, sis found me on LinkedIn, and a couple days later, she hit me up with a message and then reached out and we got to talking or whatever. But it was because my LinkedIn was updated. And I'm gonna be honest with y'all. My LinkedIn, I give my LinkedIn the least amount of attention because I'm always so busy doing other people's. But on there is almost the most recent work that I've done. It's pretty recent. And so I'm sure that it is the way that it was laid out, as well as the information that was on there, the companies that I work for or what have you, that made her go like, "Oh, okay, this person might be reputable." And, I've talked to her. She seems to be, knowledgeable. Let's take a chance on her. And they did. So I was able to throw the inaugural June in the Green Hills Mall Sephora. So
wow.
LinkedIn is the bomb, okay? Don't sleep on LinkedIn.
I ain't been at mall since, I don't know, 2011, 10 maybe.
Yeah, and it's not a mall that I frequent often.
I don't be in that part of town very often, just for various reasons.
Right. Like, you don't really have a reason. I used to actually work over there across from the mall, but I don't really have a reason to be out there very often. I just happened to be out there helping that guy with his event that he was a part of, and just wandered into the store. But it's like having your LinkedIn up to date. I can't stress that enough. And with all of my resume clients, a lot of people come, they just want their resume updated. But I always stress the LinkedIn service. And it's not just to try to upsell for more money, because I don't really charge that much for it, to be honest. But I feel like having a great resume is one thing, but when people want a quick snapshot of who you are, they're going to go find you online. And having that set up, having a banner can even just be the slightest change.
No doubt. And like I said, I use LinkedIn to get guests on my show and promote the show. And I've got not a lot of guests from LinkedIn. Like, who I thought I would get, to connect with Wade Phillips, former defense coordinator, coach, Super Bowl champion dude from the Denver Broncos, stuff like that. Anthony Amy, a guy works at BNC, so a lot of people in my field, sports arena, I've connected with based on LinkedIn. I got a situation with a new distributor do LinkedIn for my show. So you're right. It works when I don't be on it all the time, but I use it for what I need it for. Guest and promote the show when I post a new show.
Yeah, for sure. What's another? Oh, so I had one client. She hadn't touched her LinkedIn in Lord knows at least 3-4 years. And there was nothing really on it. But when I got done, and it wasn't a whole lot because I had to build it from scratch, but it wasn't a whole lot I had to do because a lot of what I call LinkedIn optimization is not the stuff that you see on the profile. It's the back end tweaks, the technical things that mess with your visibility and stuff. But the front of her page looked really good when I got done. And I believe that is what pushes people over the edge when it becomes down to you and another applicant for a role, is having that LinkedIn together. And then for my clients, your cover letter, your resume, and your banner for your LinkedIn are going to match. So you've been branded, and that makes you appear, just like it sets you apart from the other applicants too.
No doubt, for sure. And like you said, your service is actually kind of a coaching opportunity for people, because getting that second set of eyeballs on what you're doing is helpful. Because sometimes you get stuck in your ways, you believe what your ways do, but had a different perspective to say, hey, maybe a word or two here or there may stand out more than just what you got.
Absolutely.
So the service you offer is very essential for improving the Black employment rate in this world, because we still lagging behind. And even though we in vogue right now, so allegedly, it still needs to be better, right?
Yeah.
And so I thank you for your help and being a Black woman leading and helping that, because I respect anybody as a hustler.
Yeah, you're welcome. I mean, people are near and dear to my heart. I don't know why. And I say that because ever since I was a little girl, I used to go to the library every week and I would always get I'm always looking, I don't care what the story was, it always had to have Black people in it or on the cover or something like that. And then when I got to college, I ended up studying the African diaspora. So my minor,
Yes, I love that already.
my degree is in English with a concentration in African American literature. And then my minor was pre-law and legal thought. But a lot of those classes that I had to take were like African American rhetoric and things like that. So if it's about Black people, I want to know about it. Like Black people are near and dear to my heart. So when it comes to anything or providing a service that has to do with empowering Black people, it's right up my alley. Especially with Black women. So my services are for anyone. I've definitely done some males resumes, but my services are predominantly geared towards women because we make less. And what I was really inspired by this group, Ladies Get Paid, I went to one of their events here in Nashville and I learned a lot about the disparity in wages between men and women, but especially Black women. We make a lot less more. And a lot of times we're the person who's carrying it all. Like me at the brokerage I used to work for, I set that place in motion. Like I set them up for success, but I was the only person of color. I'm sure I made less than everyone and I was not treated the best by the leadership. The people there were, great, but like leadership, they didn't value me, right? And so a lot of times we as women, but even just Black people in general, we get into positions where we always feel like we need this job. Like I need a job, bills. We a lot of times living paycheck to paycheck. So we feel like I need this job. I gotta keep my head down. I hear us say that a lot. I just gotta
Or
keep
code switch to fit in with them.
Or code switch, yeah. So I had to do a lot of speaking like this. How are you? How's your day going? Yeah, it's really great. And so
I couldn't do that to save my life. The hood would come out of me.
It got to a point where with HR, I had a discussion and I was just like, I'm tired of having to have conversations with people where I have to turn to my voice like this so that I sound better and more palatable for them because my voice is deeper and authoritative. And I will no longer be speaking like that anymore because that's not true to myself. And I shouldn't have to alter myself in order to get along well with other people who have a preconceived bias or notion about me. And so that did not go well with them. And eventually I was forced to resign. But what I learned from that situation is to not be afraid to speak up. And what it was a Black woman in HR called me and said, own your narrative.